of the word is the way to know God. You don't need to see him before you know him. When you see him, you will pass him. So here is God saying, Samuel, let's do something together. But Samuel is leaving the God to go and meet Eli. The same God he is serving, he passed him. 3 times God had to call him until Eli had to taught him. When you hear him, say, speak, Lord. Because the word of the Lord was not revealed in Samuel at that time. But I came to reveal the word of the Lord to you. Stay tuned. I came to reveal the word of the Lord to you. Who is God? You might ask yourself, who is God? Who is God? Because you don't meditate, you don't know God. So who is God? Psalm 77. Who is God? You don't know him. You don't know him because you don't know the word. It is the word that helps us to know the reality of our God. Let's take a cue from David and let's see. It says what? Psalm 77 verse 1. I cried unto God with my voice, even unto God with my voice, and has given ears unto me. But not just like that. What you see in verse 1 is what happens at the ending, not at the beginning. That's why when you read in Genesis, when God created the heavens and the earth, and the earth was without voice, most times you don't understand what follows. I cried to God with my voice, and he heard me. What does the next verse says? In the days of my trouble, I sought the Lord, and my soul refused to be comforted. It's telling you that God will finally answer us, but when he started, there was no answer. So we need to learn from. Let's read again. Psalm 77 verse 2. In the days of my trouble, I sought the Lord. I saw run in the night and ceased not. His soul, at the cost of the night, he was so disturbed. His soul was refused to be comforted, and he was asking, where was God? How did he finally get the answers about, and where did he finally get the answers when he said, and God answered me? Let's continue reading. He said, Psalm 27 verse 3 said, I remember God and was troubled. I complained and my spirit was overwhelmed. But once he remembered God, once you are supposed to remember God and be happy, not remember him and be disturbed. He said I remember God, and once what he could think of was trouble at that time. And what? And did what? And he complained. And he complained. You can be also there just like David. You complain when you remember God, you complain, you murmur, and you said, why is God not doing this thing he's supposed to do for him? Most times we have complaining believers. He never denied God. You never denied God. You come to church, you never deny him, but you always complain. You come to church, you dance, do whatever, but after that you still go and complain. I complained. Why? Because my spirit is overwhelmed. Why? That answer came after. That spirit came after. 77 verse 4 said, he said, thou holdest my eyes walking. I am as troubled that I cannot speak. He can't talk to anybody at that time. I am crying alone in my house. I can't speak to anybody. And what does the next verse say? He says, I have considered the days of the old, the years of the ancient time. This is where a solution started from. Verse 6, he said, I called to remember my song in the night. I communed with my own heart, and my spirit made diligent search. Verse 7 says, will the Lord cast off of me, and will he be favorable no more? Do you see that? Will the Lord cast off forever? Will he stop giving me favor? Let's check the next verse. It said, in his mercy clean gone forever. Clean his promise failed forever. Does his promises fail forevermore? Are you seeing all that? This is Psalm 77 verse 1. Has God forgotten to be gracious? Verse 9. Verse 1 talks about when he calls upon the Lord and he answers him. But you don't know how he got the answers. You don't know what tears and what trouble would lead him to that answer he's supposed to have. He complained. He was no longer sure if God was still with him. He even asked, has God forgotten to be gracious unto me? At that point, you start wondering if God is angry, or the devil comes to whisper, is it that God is not hearing me? Is it that God is not ready? But David comes to conclusion in verse 10 and say, and I said, this is my infirmity. So at that point, he came to an understanding that yes, this is my own infirmity. It is not God that doesn't love me. It is not God that is not merciful. It is not God that is not gracious. It's not God that is not gracious unto me, but it is me that has not been on track. So what am I going to do? He said, but I will remember the works of the Lord. Surely I will remember thy works of God. Once you remember, once you know God not because of your feelings, not because of your situations, not because of your problem. That is why God gave us the word so that we can meditate through it. How did God do it? How did he do it in verse 1? How did he do it with Abraham? How did he do it with Moses? That is how God is going to do it with you as well. So the solution came at that point. I remembered the works of the Lord. I will remember the works of the Lord. I will remember the works of the Lord. Surely I will remember the wonders of old, what he has done with those. The secret of activating wonders today is remembering the wonders of old. How did the Lord do it with Abraham? I will remember the works of the Lord. I will remember. Go back to the old religion. Go back to the old time. Go back and see if God ever failed. Did he fail Joseph? Did he fail Moses? Did he fail Aaron? Did he fail Joshua? Did he fail Abraham? Why will he fail you? When you are thinking and meditating too much about your problem, you forget about what the Lord has done for you. It is season to outgrow whatever thought is coming to your spirit. Meditate also on the word of God. That is what we are here to teach you. Meditate on what the Lord has done. Stop meditating on your problems. Meditate of the old. The scriptures was reading for us to have reference. See what God has done with the people of old. Once you are checking what the deadline, you are giving God deadline 6 days now. God, you've not done this. It's remaining 5 days. 5 years now, you've not done it. So you think what is happening to you? You are putting that seed of hatred. Instead of you to get closer to God, you are getting farther to him. Although you still go to church, physically you are still in the same place. But spiritually you are far. You've gone far. Who is God? Verse 12 says, I will meditate also of all thy works and talks of thy doing. Verse 13 says, thy ways, O God, is in sanctuary. Who is so great? At that point, will you start saying, is God does not have mercy? Is God not great? But he went to study the word of God. And based on that, he started speaking. Let's see verse 13. Thy way, O God, is in the sanctuary. Who is great? A God as our God. Some verses ago, he says, oh God, not have mercy. What's your problem? I cannot sleep, I cannot talk, I cannot eat. I. But once he remembered, this is my infirmity, this is my own problem, then he remembered what God has done. Then he started speaking good about who God is. Then he started speaking of who is great of God. His meditation has changed. His focus has moved from his problem to the greatness of who God is. Let's read further. Verse 14 says, thou art the God that doest wonder. Wow. Will God help me? No, don't complain. Thou God, you are a God that does wonders. Let's read further. Thou hast declared thy strength among thy people. This is verse 14. Verse 15 now says, thou hast with thy arms redeemed thy people, the sons of Jacob and Joseph. Peace. Verse 16. Thy water saw thee, O God. The water saw thee, they were afraid. The depths also were troubled. The cloud poured out water. The sky sent out a sound. Thy arrows also went abroad. The voice of thy thunder was in the heavens. The lightning lightened the world. The earth trembles and shook. Thy ways in the sea, and thy paths in the great waters, and thy footsteps are not known. Verse, thou leadest thy people like a flock by the hands of Moses and Aaron. Hold on. Moses and Aaron are dead. But David is still going back to meditate on how God has led his people through Moses and Aaron. You are faithful to Moses. The sea saw him and fled. But once he started meditating on who God is, his meditation changed. His reality changed. Verse 1 of that verse Verse 1 is now what is put in verse 21. Listen to what he said. Then I cried unto God with my voice, even unto God with my voice, and he gave ears unto me. Psalm 77 verse 1. Why did God give ears to him? It's because he has come to the frequency of who God is. Once you read 2, 3, 4, you see complaining, complaining, complaining. But what brought all this complaining? Because he shifted his meditations. I'm not here to talk about your problem. Let's talk about who God is. I want you to meditate on who God is and see if you will call on him and he will not answer. When your mind is in alignment with who God is, then your prayer will get his answers. God bless you. God bless you. Once you meditate on who God is, Psalm 77 verse 1, almost down to 14, taught us a lot. What brought about verse 1 that he said, and God gives ears? Always read what went after. He complained, he was bittered. Not until he meditated on who God is. Once he listened to what God has done, what God can do, and who God is, how he has helped Aaron, how he has helped Joshua, how he has helped countless people, then his focus changed and started realigning to who God is. That is when his solutions start coming forth. Once you start thinking, I can't make this on my own, you start complaining. The enemies will always give you strategies to keep complaining and shifting your focus from who God is. Take time, study who God is in your life. You have seen him in time past, how gracious, how glorious he has been. If you could understand him to that level, if you can come to that frequency. When in Genesis 1 verse 1, when God was passing across the face of the deep, there was nothing formed at that time. But he didn't complain. He didn't see all this. How will it come to be? Once you trust God, you trust him fully with all you've got. Always remember the good things he has done. Don't allow situations, don't allow problems weigh you down. These things will keep you limited. They will keep you downgrade from not moving ahead or not reaching that goals you're supposed to have reached. But trust God. Always know who God is in your life. Every season, every moment, and every second, God is speaking. Be sure you are aligning yourself to who God is. God bless you. God bless you. See you on the next video.